A number of states say they want to help and they'll provide any data they can legally share. But Mississippi's Secretary of State, a Republican, has called it a violation of voters' privacy and said that the commission, Jamie, can, quote, go jump in the Gulf of Mexico. Mississippi is a great state to launch from.
Strong words there, Nancy. Also want to ask you, some of this information, very, very sensitive, like the last 4 digits of a person's social security number. Once the Trump administration has this type of information, does it say what they plan to do with it?
They say that they just want to analyze voter registration patterns. They want to make sure that there aren't any vulnerabilities in the system that can't be tightened up, say, because people are registered in more than one state, potentially voting in more than one state. But that's really the great fear, especially on the part of Democrats, although opposition to this is bipartisan to some degree. They say once you've got all that data in one place, it could get stolen, even though the administration says it would be housed on secure government servers. And the other question is what else could be done with it? And so that's part of the reason that you have so many secretaries of state and governors who are balking and saying, now, wait a minute, why exactly do you need all this information? Why do you need how someone voted back to 2006 and whether they voted in various elections? And beyond that, they say this is creating a lot of busy work for our state, and we don't have time to do it.
You know, I think that's one of the interesting pieces here is what those different states plan to do. Wisconsin announcing it would turn over public information, but would charge the commission $12,500. Then you have states like New York, California, Massachusetts saying they're not going to comply at all. Could those states face any type of penalty from the administration if they don't turn things over?
Well, this commission really doesn't have any teeth, so it doesn't have the power to compel these states to turn over the information, and it doesn't have any way to punish them either. Now, Congress could always vote to imbue this commission with more powers, but that's unlikely to happen, especially because the whole reason that this commission was created was because Republicans in Congress basically refused to do their own investigation. You remember the president insisted that there were 3 to 5 million people who voted illegally, and they all somehow voted for his opponent, Hillary Clinton. He said that this was a huge scandal and that Congress should look into it. Well, congressional leaders essentially said, we see no evidence of that whatsoever, and said that they weren't going to waste their time.
Nancy, I do want to read a statement from California's Secretary of State, who called the commission, quote, a waste of taxpayer money and a distraction from the real threats to the integrity of our elections today, documented Russian interference in our elections and aging voting systems. How do you see these allegations possibly affecting the numerous investigations now into Russian meddling? Could there be?
I think they're really two separate things because these investigations into Russian meddling are going on regardless. But Democrats argue that this situation only highlights the fact that the White House itself is focused on the wrong problems, that the White House doesn't appear to be concerned about Russian meddling in the election, either in 2016 or going forward, but they do seem to be concerned about chasing these ghosts of voter fraud and trying to find evidence to back up the president's bogus claim. They say that is money and time spent that could be better used at protecting the United States from more interference by Russia down the line.
It does seem like this specific voter issue, though, plays right into Donald Trump's base, which is something he likes to do.
Sure. And, you know, there are a lot of Republicans who have been beating the drum of voter fraud for a long time and have been claiming that it is a more pervasive problem than people realize. You know, the numbers and convictions don't really bear that out, but it is something that Republicans have expressed concern about. Democrats, on the other hand, have argued that that is simply a way to impose more onerous voting rules that end up impacting people who end up voting more often than not for Democrats, older voters, minority voters. And so there's always this tension that immediately springs up when you're talking about voter fraud. But what's so interesting here is that you have Republican officials, along with Democrats from these various states, lieutenant governors, secretaries of state, governors saying, hold on here, and why exactly do you want this information, and do you understand the implications of us providing it to you? And in some cases, these states are frankly saying, we don't have that information, we don't keep it, and so we therefore can't turn it over to the White House.
It'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out. Nancy Cordes in Washington, thank you so much.
You're welcome.